Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about Yasuke once again, and the upcoming game Assassin's Creed Shadows, that big steaming pile of crap that Ubisoft is about to dump on us and tell us to play it or we're racist. So let's cue up the music, and we'll get right into it. Alright, so a Japanese political aide indicates that the backlash to Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game could escalate into a diplomatic incident. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case, but you never know. The right people get a hold of it and complain to the right people, maybe something on a minor level. Whatever the case may be, I'll get this out of the way straight up front, is the game's coming out. Okay, I don't like it. I think it's going to be a pile of crap. I hope it sucks and it does poorly and Ubisoft loses boatloads of money on it and has to close down studios and lay off tons of people. And I hope the shareholders hold the leadership under scrutiny about this and demand change within the company so that it gets better. But the game's coming out. They're not going to stop the game. They're not going to redo it. They're not going to get rid of Yusuke and replace him. They're not going to change any of it. Now let's break down some of the points about this whole thing and what makes it so sucky. It's an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in feudal Japan. It features a protagonist that is a large African man. Okay, this is somebody that would stand out like a sore thumb in a crowd playing an assassin who is supposed to blend into the shadows. So, I mean, that right there makes it kind of... First off, it's preposterous to focus on this one individual in this time frame when you have tons of characters, fictional and not, that could just be normal Japanese samurai, right? Not this fake black samurai. And I say fake black samurai, but we're going to get to that. So anyway, yeah, that's who he is. And then you've got hip-hop music playing when he's fighting. I mean, nothing says African samurai in feudal Japan more than hip-hop styled fight music, right? It's such a pandering mess. It's so disgusting. You've got stolen assets inside the game. The flag they stole from that battle recreation group. You've got the sword that was apparently... the design of the sword that was stolen, the katana, and some other stuff that was at the booth for Assassin's Creed Shadows and one of the recent cons. Just all kinds of stuff going on with this game. And you have the premise based on a character that existed. Yusuke existed. He was real, but he was not a samurai. You know, he was just a retainer. He was he caught the eye of a samurai, and I don't know if he bought him, hired him, traded something for him, whatever, but he ended up working for this guy. And that's it. He was never a samurai. He was given a weapon, but he was never a samurai, and it's kind of stupid. Now, there was a book written that kind of idolized him and made him into a samurai, according to this piece of fiction by Thomas Lockley, who, from what I've heard, is on the run now. Or not on the run so much as just he's kind of gone dark on social media because of the crap he stirred up. There have been rumors that he tried to change the definition of Yusuke and what he was about on encyclopediabritannica.com or whatever, and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? I mean, it's an absolute nightmare what's going on out there. All over this one, he's like the George Floyd of feudal Japan, right? A nobody, a nothing, and everybody made a big deal out of him. It's so freaking wild to see this. But let's go back to the article here. As first reported by Mark Kern on X, a Japanese political aide detailed the game and its false depiction of Japanese history, culture, and aesthetics, primarily revolving around the depiction of Yasuke as a legendary samurai, could result in a diplomatic incident. Grums reports that letters are being sent with questions to the Japan Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. He added, while the government have not taken action yet, they are waiting for final release of game to decide, and there is mounting pressure in Japan to address the issue with Ubisoft portraying false information to Japanese children. Okay. As seen in the video below, a political aide detailed that he had sent a variety of questions to the Japanese government and received a report back from them. He noted he sent questions to Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Education, yada, yada, yada. I will link to this article so you can watch this video down below on your own. It's translated and shared by X, or shared to X by Grums. The aide shared the first question he asked. It has been pointed out that Mr. Thomas Lockley, Associate Professor Foreign Languages, Faculty of Law, Nihon University, wrote a book about Yasuke's story which he created from his own imagination and spread the contents of the book as historical fact all over the world, and that this is a movement to make a fabricated history the truth of the world without many Japanese people even knowing about it. Please tell us the government's opinion on this point and its future policy. He shared that this question was sent to Japan's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So yeah, we're talking about, like, who the hell is this guy? I guess he's working at a university in Japan and is deep in their history and all that, and whatever, appreciates. But whatever the case may be, what right does he have to try to rewrite history and try to make something out of nothing, right? Why look at this character, this person from history, and say, I'm going to make him into, he's going to be a samurai just because, It doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense. As for the second question, he inquired of Japan's Ministry of all that stuff, I'm just going to say, and all the... Assassin's Creed Shadows, a new game being developed by French game company Ubisoft, is set in the Sengoku period of Japan, and Yasuke appears as a main character. The game company has been taken over by people of the political correctness movement, and from the pre-release interview footage, the disrespect for Japan is blatant. The content of the game that has been partially released has also been distorted and grossly disrespectful of Japanese culture, history, and Japanese people. It continues, for example, in an interview, a person in charge of the grotesque decapitation scene said, "Death was a common occurrence in Japan at the time, and most people died by having their heads neatly cut off." I would like to know the government's views on this matter and its future policy. Yeah, I doubt there's any point in time in history anywhere in the world that most people died from having their heads cut off. That's kind of messed up. I've heard other things too. I've heard that there was something printed up somewhere, or maybe it was, I don't know if it was inside the game or a translation or something that was Chinese instead of Japanese. I heard some of the building designs were completely off, whether they were from a different part of the world, a different country, or a different time period, whatever. I mean, I get it. The video game design is a complex thing, right? It really is. Doing it in a historical setting's got to have some challenges that you don't have elsewhere. If you create a world and you create it from scratch, you can have it look like whatever you want it to look like. But if you're going to go for Japan during a specific period of time, you're going to want to make sure things look that way. You're going to want to make sure you got the proper armors, the proper weapons, the proper way they talk, the proper building designs and stuff like that, and make everything look and feel authentic if that's what you're going for. Otherwise, don't go for that authenticity. Create your own parallel world or whatever, or something along those lines where it gives you a little bit of room, or just don't focus so much on it being historically accurate. Not to say that any game from Ubisoft's historically accurate, or that Assassin's Creed ever was quote unquote historically accurate. I mean, we fought as Odin in Valhalla and Odyssey. We fought Medusa and stuff like that. So there's always been a lot of play with reality and all that, and that's fine. That's absolutely great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a video game. It should be fun and all that. And having some creative liberties is great. That just helps make the game better overall. I don't go to Assassin's Creed to get an accurate historical lesson. I do appreciate it when it's, steeped in that time period or whatever, and you just kind of get that feel. Even if you don't know what it's all about, if it feels authentic enough, it feels authentic. But I could see being somebody, if I saw something that was blatantly out of place, I'd be like, whoa, that just pulls you right out of the game. I haven't, that's what that's looking like. So, I don't know, man. Let's continue to read on, though. The third question that was sent stated, if it were a game made by a private company, there would be no need to be so concerned, but it has been announced that this was based on Japanese historical facts, and if this goes viral, people all over the world will start to believe it, which I think is extremely malicious. In fact, the following message has been released. The Brazilian embassy in Japan publicly announced on Facebook that Yasuke was Japan's first black samurai, and that Yasuke was brought to Japan in 1579 and became a hero. He then linked to the Brazilian embassy in Japan's Facebook post and concluded, "Please let us know the government's views on this matter and future policy." Yikes. Yeah. I heard he was given a weapon. I heard he fought alongside the samurai and stuff like that, and that's fine. People have made the argument, well, did you watch The Last Samurai? That was Tom Cruise. He wasn't a samurai. And he especially wasn't the last samurai. It's like, yeah, dude. Well, if you watch the movie, you'll understand that Tom Cruise, it wasn't about him. It was about the last samurai in Japan. And Tom Cruise, his character, worked with him, earned his respect, and that kind of thing. It's absolutely bonkers, the defense this game is getting. Again, if you don't like the hate it's getting, that's fine. I get it. You've got every right to not like it, but don't beat yourself up watching videos like this, because it's just going to make you mad, because it's full of truth, and nothing pisses off losers more than the truth when they believe something that's a lie. And if you believe that Yasuke was the greatest warrior, or he was a Japanese samurai, or whatever, then I'm just going to tell you the truth and tell you you're wrong, and stop thinking that way, and just do yourself a favor and go play something else. There's a million better games out there. Anyway, using YouTube's machine translation, this is the response he received from the first question. In general terms, if there's any suspicion that the content is contrary to deduction reading, careful measures should be taken. Machine translation is a long way to go. He also detailed that this game is currently undergoing ethical review, so it has not been officially released, so it will not be published as a separate game. A response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated, "It is not possible for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to respond because it is a game-related matter and has nothing to do with diplomacy," which makes sense. I mean, that seems a little extreme, going to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This isn't the French government defaming Japan or something like that. This is just a stupid video game company based out of France that's just making a stupid video game and making it all woke and idiotic. However, he would later state, but after receiving the response from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there was a phone call. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has responded that it is just a game that has nothing to do with diplomacy, but the matter has become quite large, and there is a possibility that it could escalate into a diplomatic issue. I've said that there is a possibility, but at the current stage, it's just a game, and I cannot give an answer. I guess it really depends on how far this thing gets pushed and just how ugly it gets out there, But yeah, things can always escalate, and it just seems like any more escalation is inevitable in any type of discourse, whether it be about politics, culture, whatever. Everybody just gets madder and madder and madder. And I sit back and I laugh, Yeah, I might rage a little bit in these videos and all that, but I'll be quite honest with you. These things disappoint me, and they irritate me. I will admit that. It's like, why? It's just so stupid. You've taken something good and you ruined it. Why would you do something like that? It's just it serves zero purpose. It's like, why'd you throw anchovies on my pepperoni pizza? It was just fine the way it was. Now you had to screw it up. If you wanted anchovies, you could have made your own pizza. And that's what I got to say about games like this. Anybody who wants to push this woke agenda and all that, just make woke games. Get away from existing IPs that people have grown to love, that people have been playing for years or decades sometimes. Get out of there. Just leave those spaces altogether. And go make your own gay or whatever woke games that you want to make. Somebody in the comments recently said something about the amount of gay people that make games, and and I'm like, well, it doesn't matter that they're gay, right? That has nothing to do with who's making the game, but you don't need to inject your sexuality into a game. Because you're gay doesn't mean the people that are playing care. I don't care that you're gay. I don't want to know what your sexuality is. I don't want to know anything about you. Make a good freaking game. I'll buy it. You'll get paid, and you'll be able to make another game, and you'll be able to pay your bills and live your life and do whatever the hell you want. Just keep that shit out of the game, because once you start putting it in there, I'm done buying. And it's not just me. It's a lot of people. There's millions of us out there. We're done buying. And now your game doesn't sell. And then you go on social media and you go, it's because they're bigoted. It's because they're an ist or a phobe or whatever. It's like, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's because they don't want to buy your crappy game because you ruined it with DEI bullshit, And I've asked the question a million times, and I'll ask it again. If somebody could tell me something that benefited from DEI, right? whether it be a real life situation, a job, that, because we hired a woman or a black person or something, a gay person, and put them in a position that just because it's a DEI hire, like Kamala Harris was, and anybody wants to argue that, I will take you straight down. I mean, Joe Biden himself said he is going to hire a strong black woman to be his vice president, his running mate. That was his words. What says DEI hire more than describing somebody's color of their skin and their genitalia and making that the reason you're hiring somebody, What if I says, well, the guy that's going to run my business is going to be white-skinned and have a penis, It's a strong white male, You can't say these things. You go out there and say, we're going to find the best guy for the job, but whatever. Yeah, DEI's made nothing better. So anytime anyone can tell me and want to make that argument, please do so in the comments below. Tell me about a game or a movie that because of DEI it's better. Tell me a job that was done better because of DEI. Just one example. I would love to hear it, and I'd love to be proven wrong. It doesn't happen a lot, but every now and then it would happen. But yeah, still later in the video, he also indicated he's requested Japan's National Diet Library to confirm what is and what is not true regarding the history of Yusuke. He noted, regarding the request to the National Diet Library, it would be helpful if you could check the information in the primary source about Yusuke in Thomas Lockley's book, and then summarize the information that is clearly wrong. After checking these two, he indicated he would receive a response to this inquiry by July 31st. So what do you guys make of this political aids information and comments? I mean, I think he's bringing up some valid points and all that. I got to admit, I admire him for doing this. I mean, I feel like, I remember when I first started talking about this, people are telling me it's only Westerners that are complaining, it's just Westerners. No, dude, it's not. It's Japan, too. They've been complaining for a bit, just as long as we have. And it's just getting worse and worse over there because I think like they really got the raw end of the deal with this. It just made everything kind of silly and ridiculous. I mean, it's not like they changed the government. It's not like they said, well, no, now they're Nazis or they're this or they're that or, no major changes like that. But sometimes these subtle, insidious changes that they do just undermine reality. Thomas Lockley writing that book and then trying to pass it off as fact. In this day and age with the internet, when you can come across information so rapidly and people rarely read more than a title to form an opinion on something, they can say, well, drinking a glass of water a day raises the rate of cancer in rats. You're like, what? And then you look and say, oh, well, it's rats that have been infected by something like this because the water will help feed the cancer cells and, yada, 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 yada. So, but they never read all that extra parts. Oh, no, water's bad for you. Don't drink water. You're going to get cancer. It's absolutely silly. Absolutely silly. Well, don't forget to leave a like on the video down below if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of all this. What are your predictions for Assassin's Creed Shadows? Do you think it's going to have a strong launch, a weak launch, or just a mid-launch that they could just write off and hope that Star Wars Outlaws can make up the difference? As always, Cat the Beefy with the Game Vault. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.